So I think communication is one of those things that we all need to strive to actually do well. I'm a pathologist, and we're not that well known for communication. In fact, this is a book that you can get about how to choose which medical specialty you want to go into. And pathologists are apparently reclusive, insecure, uncomfortable, ill at ease with others, and inept at interpersonal communication. So hopefully we can learn a little bit together now. So sometimes when we communicate, I use all these different words that sometimes the other doctors don't understand, and they sound very similar to each other, a little bit like this. This is my friend's docs she's wearing. I like to wear these mocks around the house. This is my son's socks with Crocs and his jocks. But we actually...
Is that actually your son's underpants? I think we'll need some clinical supervision up here. Or maybe at her house.
So our healthcare role, we really have to, our doctors and other people working in healthcare, diagnose, identify diseases, integrate it with our clinical knowledge, communicate that back to who we need to communicate to, patients and other people providing care, treat and provide support. So even as a pathologist, I need to do all of these things except for the treat part. And I was talking to one of the lab staff and talking to her about a talk I was doing, and she said, oh, she just had a urological procedure and it was done under deep seduction. And she didn't feel a thing. And I thought, well, that's all well and good. If it was done under deep seduction, I would have hoped to have felt something myself.
Hopefully there was no gap charged. Bulk billed.
So clearly there was a little bit of a communication issue between her and the surgeon. And this is my favourite improvement in Wikipedia. They managed to add in one word to this Wikipedia post, which apparently enhanced the post a lot, because it is difficult to know which one of these was the piper and which one was the indifferent penguin. So how we communicate really does matter. And I think this is Chris Brown, who's actually a vet in Sydney, and he was texting, when we started doing a lot of texting and using kind of, shortened forms to text with. So he was looking after a patient's dog who sadly passed away. And so he wanted to text the client's dog, and he wanted to text the lady who owned the dog and tell her that the dog had passed away. So he wanted to send lots of love. So he texted, your dog has died, LOL, because he thought it meant lots of love.
I've done that.
Unfortunately, that didn't land quite as well as he anticipated. The other thing we have trouble with sometimes is emojis. In fact, there's over 3,500 different emojis that cover all different emotions. And the ones on the left here, obviously, they're the penis emojis, and I believe you can now buy a lot of these in sock form to support hands up. The ones on the right are vagina emojis, and I only learnt today that the peace sign is actually for vagina. I actually send that to my work colleagues. Yay! Hi. I did not know. There you go. And so in different contexts, different emojis can mean different things. So you can use pile of poo, for example, in a sort of string to mean a few different things. It can mean someone farted, or no time for your bullshit. Sorry, I don't have any toilet paper, can you get some for me? And dry martini or dirty martini. What, though, does it mean in Japan if you send someone an emoji pile of poo? So there is an answer to this question, but I will take a funnier answer if you have one. So you need to think of what a pile of poo, if you send it as an emoji in Japan, means. It's not vagina.
It's time for your gastroenterologist appointment.
It's luck.
It's what?
Luck.
Luck. It is luck. Were you going to say luck? Because I've...
Yeah.
Okay, so...
You said it to me.
It does mean luck. How did you know that?
I like Japan.
Because if a bird shits on you, it's good luck.
Sorry?
If a bird shits on you, it's good luck.
This is true. This is very true.
Supposedly.
All right, so these are some communication mistakes. One of these is not true. So the first one, this Moses sculpture was created by the artist Michelangelo Buonarroti, and the statue can be found in the Church of San Pietro in Rome. The word used to describe the face of Moses was a Hebrew word that can be read either as horn or glow, depending on how the word is dotted. After encountering God and receiving the Ten Commandments, some people think that Moses was glowing, but this artist interpreted it to say that Moses had horns. It was the second one. It was June 28th, 1914, and the Archduke and his wife were on a harmless motorcade in Bosnia. The Black Hand, a secret Serbian terrorist society, attempted to assassinate Franz by throwing a grenade at the motorcade, but accidentally missed and hit the wrong car. After the botched assassination attempt, the terrorist group decided to hide in the city. The story goes that the Archduke decided to visit one of the victims at a local hospital, but the driver was new to the city and didn't listen to the advice he was given about where to drive. When he got lost, he came upon a young man sitting by the road, and they thought, oh, this man can give us directions. Unfortunately for the Archduke, the young man was actually one of the conspirators involved in the assassination attempt. What happened to be the Archduke's unluckiest day of his life was also the luckiest day for this man. Seeing that he had his second chance, the man quickly shot the Archduke and his wife. This misunderstanding of directions on the driver's part not only led to the death of the Archduke and his wife, but to the start of World War I. And the last one, Chevrolet had problems selling the Chevy Nova automobile in Latin America because Nova means it doesn't work in Spanish. And the Latin American car buyers shunned the car, forcing Chevrolet to embarrassingly pull the car out of the market. So which one of these is not a true communication story? Moses and his horns, the cause of World War I, or the no-go show car in Latin America?
We think it's A.
C.
I would say C.
C.
It is C.
C.
All right. Which of these research papers is not real? Medical marijuana. Can't we all just get a bong? Fantastic yeasts and where to find them. The hidden diversity of dimorphic fungal pathogens.
Are you an author on that? Be honest.
Sorry? Testicular pathology. How to keep all your balls in the air. From urethra with shove. Bladder foreign bodies. A case report and review. You probably think this paper is about you, narcissists' perception of their personality and reputation. One of these is not true.
They could easily all be true, Fiona. Is it a trick question? They're all true.
I almost did that, actually. I almost made it a trick question. But no, I did actually put one of my lecture titles in there.
That's a C then.
C.
Yeah, the answer is C, correct. That's actually one of my lectures, yes, instead.
You can still write the paper though.
So I did write a paper about the shrinkage factor, about shrinkage with formalin, when you put prostate cores in formalin and how much they shrink. So I do have one on the shrinkage factor. Okay, so yes, I got AI to make me a poster in case I wanted to present this poster somewhere, and you'll notice that there are many spelling mistakes because that's what AI does. All right. Actually, one of my children had testicular maldescent, and so I told him he has to check his balls now. I don't think he does it very often, but there is actually an app you can get now which actually shows you how to do your self-exam. And one of the exam questions I had when I did my previous career, before I did medicine, the question was, which testicle actually hangs lower? And in the exam, there were a lot of men with their hands in their pants. And I felt, at a disadvantage because I wasn't going to reach out and check the person next to me. So I didn't know. But do we know which testicle hangs lower?
I'm passing that to Bertrand.
No hands in pants, please.
I think on average it will be the left.
It is the left.
Well, thank God for that.
On average.
So yes, there are papers on this and hypotheses. And it's probably due to actually trying to increase the surface area of the testes. If they hung together, they would actually have less surface area, so you wouldn't be able to cool down so quickly. So actually having them at two different heights actually helps with that. And there's probably an embryological reason as well. Now, this is a testis. I quite like testes. I was in the car driving along with my children when they were young in the back, and one of the surgeons I work with called me back because I sent him an urgent message saying there was something wrong with the biopsy he'd sent me on the testicle. And so he was a bit anxious. Phone call comes through, he goes, oh, what is it about this testicle? And from the back seat, clear as a bell, my 5-year-old shouts out, my mummy loves testicles. Which is true and has not changed since that day. Anyway, this is a testicle. Now, I'm showing you this for a particular reason. That's because it's actually really important to have seen things to be able to understand them. And visual stimuli are categorised by how we've seen them in the past. So, according to the internet, if you look at this image, if you're over the age of 8, you see a man and lady. But if you're under the age of 8, you're not used to seeing these sorts of images, so you actually see dolphins. So I showed it to my daughter, who at that stage was under the age of 8, and I said, darling, what do you see in this picture? And she goes, oh, Mummy, I see a man and lady who like each other very much. And I said, no, you see dolphins. And she said, Mummy, there are no dolphins in that picture. There are dolphins in that picture, just to prove it. But I learnt a few things from that. Really, don't trust everything you read on the internet. Don't show your children porn, even if it's dolphin porn. And sometimes visual recognition alone is not enough. Now, this may not be true anymore, this under the age of 8 thing, because the last few days of the internet, there's similar pictures been all over the internet. So I just think, we've all seen this picture, even if you are under the age of 8, so maybe you will see the man and lady rather than the dolphins. Anyway, the next part of our quiz, I have to just get my prop. Somebody had invited me out to lunch and I said I couldn't possibly, I was busy making a paper mache testicle. And this is our paper mache testicle. So that last image had the layers of the testicle, which you've now seen. This team is at a disadvantage because the other two teams have surgeons. All right, so we have a testicle. If you answer the question right, you get to take off one layer of the testicle. Now, just to put this into context, I got a little bit fed up putting on the pubic hair. I'd lost the will to live, so I didn't actually put so much. My daughter said to me, Mum, isn't there normally more pubic hair than that? And I said, no, just think of it as a homage to pubic hair, not actually enough anyway. So, question number 1. How long does urination take? So this was a paper that was published that showed that mammals that were over 1 kilo had the same ratio from the size of their bladder to the length of their urethra. So the urination takes about the same time for all animals over 1 kilo in size. So I'd like an estimate. The closest estimate gets to take off the first layer.
5 minutes.
I think you need to go and see someone about that, Ian.
You need an
5
appointment.
minutes? You think you're in the toilet for 5 minutes?
There's a few urologists in the room that might help you with that, Ian.
10.
It did.
10 seconds. 10 seconds.
10 seconds?
10 seconds. Wow, my God, that's a small
That's
one.
fast.
Estimate? What do you think?
45 seconds.
45?
1 minute.
We thought 20.
20. It's 23. 23 seconds is the estimate for all mammals over 1 kilo.
Is that usual for you, Dickon, after a big night?
Well, perhaps it means you're quite healthy and don't actually have BPH, so that's good. That's good. So you might ask me though, but the queue is always longer in the women's toilet. Why is that? And that's thought to be because they've got more stuff to do, like they've got to take more clothes off, they've got to sit down, they've got to deal with children that they often have with them. So that's why women's toilets have a bigger queue, not to do with the actual time taken to urinate. Now I'm going to...
It's because they don't have urinals, right? I mean, obviously.
I'm just going to bring you the testicle. And I brought you some scissors. If you'd like to cut, this is you. You're doing that wrong. Go for it. Excellent. And the rubber band. All right. Okay, you can hang on to it and you might be able to keep it for the next one. We'll see who gets it next. Oops, I've got your microphone. Someone's microphone, your microphone.
Left lower, is that right?
Okay, the next question. What was the secret ingredient in Van Gogh's paint that he used in Starry Night to do the yellow?
Is this on topic of the testicle?
No, it's on the topic of genitourinary in general. So
It's urine, no?
it is urine.
Yeah.
It is urine. You know a lot of stuff that's not animal related.
It's urea. It's not urine, it's urea.
So it was actually, yes, in the very bright yellow that you'll see that's actually very, very vibrant and has maintained its colour over all these years. It's actually called marigold pigment or Indian yellow, and it's noted for its pungency. And apparently they used half-starved, emaciated cows solely fed with mango leaves, which increased the bile pigment production. The cows were made to pass urine 3 to 4 times a day by having their urinary organ slightly rubbed by hand, apparently, quote. The liquid was then dried in the sun and filtered, and somebody actually went back to try and find if they did it still and couldn't find anybody doing it, so they suggested that this story might literally have just been taking the piss. But there has been some other studies that suggest it was true.
Or a load of bull.
Haha, very good, very good, very good. Okay, so you've got that. So you can take off the next layer. So under the skin, what would be the next layer?
Dartus?
I didn't do the dartus. Tunica vaginalis.
Yeah.
What about the dartus?
Here we go. Next layer is tunica vaginalis coming off. Whoops. Excellent, excellent. So as a pathologist, this is what I do for my job. They're not usually quite so big, but I get to take off all these layers. All right, next one. Where is the most painful spot to be stung by a bee? This was a study done by a man who stung himself 4 times in all different spots by this bee. Somebody published it. The X marks the spots that he chose to be stung on.
Lips.
Lips.
I don't know, the scrotum?
Scrotum.
Eye of the penis?
The what?
Eye of the penis?
No, he got stung on the nose was actually the worst. So I think no one scores like the actual inside the nostril. Inside the nostril. Yeah, he rated that the worst. And he did it to himself 4 times. But we can still take off another layer. So if we could take off the epididymis, which is the brown thing that's stuck along... Oh, you won't need scissors for this one. I think I just stuck that one on. You can take that off. So the epididymis comes along one side. There we go. Out comes the epididymis. Now, apparently, if you have dramatic eyebrows, it actually means that you're more likely to be narcissistic. I'm just wondering if we could recognise these 4 people by their eyebrows. So there are 4 points available in this one, each one. The first person, he may have been ridiculed for having tiny hands, but this controversial figure's brows say, I'm in charge. Ooh. Yes?
Yeah.
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump, yes.
More?
Yeah, Jason Momoa, number 2, correct. So this man has a scar from a bar fight, but is now known primarily for making women swoon and possibly for some work as an actor. Number 3.
Kim Kardashian.
Yes, it is Kim Kardashian. She broadcasts her life in detail to millions on reality TV, and she has her own app and emojis about herself, of course. And the last one?
Cleopatra.
I think everyone got a point for that one because it was all at the same time. So Cleopatra, this ruler wore coal liner due to its magical and healing powers, which didn't include asp antivenom. So we can take off another layer. So you can take off, this is actually the hilar fat. You can take off that, yes, that's it. Take off all of that. You might need to cut that one, some of it. Or just rip it. That also works. That's what surgeons do. Just rip it. All right. This is a device which I recently bought. What would you do with this device?
A go-go.
Sorry?
Go-go.
Eh?
Go-go. It's called a go-go. That's a trade
A
name.
go-go. Oh, then maybe there's more than one name.
It's a female urination device for
It
use
is,
in
that's it.
handy
I wouldn't
spaces.
do anything with it.
You wouldn't do it. You're very good, Greg. So I had a compulsory camping trip with my son that the school organised and was told, we needed to camp overnight with the boys. And now I'm a woman of a certain age who's had 3 children, and I need to go to the toilet in the middle of the night. And I thought, well, I better see if I can find one of these shiwis, which I'd heard about. You connect the long pipey bit to the bottom of the other part, and then you use it, apparently. And I went down to the shop here in Sydney, and I went into the shop, and there was a lady at the desk, and she said, what are you here for, madam? And I said, I'd like to buy a shiwi. And she went, oh, a shiwi. So she takes me upstairs into the back room and opens a cupboard. And there's a wall of shiwis. I feel like she's selling me drugs at this stage. And she says to me, what colour do you want? I said, does it matter? She said, well, you can have all of these colours. What about the yellow one? I said, oh, I don't want the yellow one. So apparently they don't sell the yellow ones very well. But anyway, this is a shiwi. And I took it back to my AI lab where I was working with all these very intense computer scientists who happen to all be male and about 20 years younger than me. And it comes in packaging with instructions. So I started reading out the instructions. Step 1, undo trousers. I thought that was a good start. You can practice in the shower. Remember gravity. Aim the urine away from the feet. And the guys behind me are all nodding sagely, saying, yes, you need to aim. And I'm going, seriously? Shake. Okay. Now, I've just redacted one piece of advice down the bottom here. What is the last piece of advice that you would give to somebody who was using a shiwi?
Don't use this for icing a wedding cake. Oh, you mean the last piece that's printed on there? That's not the last piece of advice you would give. Just, okay, sorry.
Put your pants back on.
Yeah, that also works.
Wash before next use.
Yeah, that definitely works.
Wash your hand.
So the advice actually was, finally, ladies, make sure the wind is always on your back.
Good advice.
That's basically what we learn as kids, male
Men.
kids. When we're like 8-year-old, open your pants, shake it, wash your hands. Don't urinate against the wind,
That's right, that's right. Anyway, I think this could be advice to live by for all things, not just shiwiing. Let's open up the last layer. Yes. And you might need the scissors. Yeah, oh yes, you can stab it. Everybody wants to stab a testicle, don't they? There's people cringing in the audience going, ah.
Be careful because like when we do a hydrocele, if you go too violently, you're going to explode the hydrocele and get in deep shit.
It's a piñata.
It is a piñata.
There's one spermatozoid in the free.
And it's filled with... And snakes, because they were the closest thing I had to spermatozoa.
It's a very wee cup.
And Tim's happily eating the sperm out of...
Oh, right.
Yes, you dessert. So now you've put up with this entire thing for all this time. You might actually be busting to go to the toilet, by now. And if you actually have quite a big urge to void, apparently it does affect your cognition. So the more you need to go, the less you actually think about being able to understand things. And it's even worse than if you've been drinking a lot of wine. So if you've drunk a lot of wine, you might not be confused because of the wine. You might just be confused because you need to go to the toilet. So if you need to go to the toilet, you need to do that relatively quickly. And that's the end.
The photos of the animals in this
So I wanted to thank all of the victims / panellists. Thank you very much for being good sports and putting up with the questions. And also Ruth Collins, who's a lovely urologist here in Sydney, who took a lot of the animal photos that I used. And that's the end of this part of the session. Oh, sorry, I forgot to get the answer. Was it really a three-way tie? That's amazing.